Our story begins inside of the Coruscant Jedi Temple shortly after Jedi Master Qui Gon Jinn has returned from rescuing the Queen of Naboo and making a stop on Tatooine before returning to the temple on Coruscant. Qui-Gon initially expected this mission to just be a typical ambassador mission, even with the escalation from the Trade Federation, but the occupation, the attempt to capture the Queen, and then the discovery of not only Anakin Skywalker, but also the Sith Lord on Tatooine, it was all so much. Qui-Gon has long felt that he's been destined for more in this life, though he's tried to stay humble about it, but many years ago, he received a vision from the Force, guiding him into the galaxy. These visions brought Qui-Gon down the path to becoming a Force ghost, something no other Jedi has done in a very long time. But even so, despite knowing he was meant for more, it was all so much. The discovery of the Chosen One, the emergence of the Sith. Could he truly handle all of it? Qui-Gon felt his mind drifting into the future. He knew he must center himself. He must stay in the here and now. So, he moved alone to a silent meditation chamber, and he sat cross-legged, asking the Force to be with him. Qui-Gon thought of all those close to him. His Padawan, Obi-Wan, was stubborn, but strong in the Force. He's ready to become a Jedi Knight. The Council is stuck in their ways. They mean well, but their refusal to see the truth about Anakin frustrated Qui-Gon. And then Anakin himself. He was resting in one of the temple guest rooms, likely getting acquainted with some of the other younger students. Qui-Gon just hoped he would be able to stay. And then, another name came to Qui-Gon, a name he's thought of less and less lately. Dooku, his former master, the one who helped him to see the flaws of the Jedi. He chose to leave the Order many years ago. That decision hurt Qui-Gon, but he trusted Dooku's judgment. But today, as the Force moved through his mind, Qui-Gon felt a disturbance surrounding Dooku, and so he dove headfirst into this murky current of the Force. Qui-Gon would see a vision of Dooku standing in the window of his Sereno castle. His blade was blood red, and behind him, bodies were beginning to form. Many bodies. First, it was Sifo Dyas, eyes wide with shock and betrayal as he was dead. Then, more Jedi began to appear. Coleman Trevor, Ima Gundi, Evan Peel, Adi Gallia, rows of random civilians were piling up in the castle room as well. And then, as Qui-Gon looked around Sereno, the horror only continued. Bodies filled the planet, all kinds of species, hundreds, thousands, no, millions of them piling up all over the world, all of them with Dooku standing above with his red blade, as if he was the one that helped to cause this. Qui-Gon turned around once more, suddenly finding himself staring face to face with Dooku. He seemed to age 50 years. His beard went gray, his eyes sunken into his skull, skin becoming much more pale, and he just stared at Qui-Gon. The vision broke off. Qui-Gon woke up in the meditation chamber, breathing heavily, as Master Yaddle was at the door, calling his name. Qui-Gon hadn't heard a word that she said. He was deep in the Force, but Yaddle now told Qui-Gon that Dooku is here, and she is worried about him. He seems distant. Qui-Gon shook his head, asking her to repeat her words. Dooku is here, in the temple, today. Yaddle was confused by this sudden reaction, but she just said, yes, Dooku is here visiting. Qui-Gon would thank her, and he told her that he will speak with Dooku. He's sure everything is fine. Yaddle smiled and nodded before leaving, and Qui-Gon was once more thinking about what he just saw. Dooku, his former Jedi Master, standing atop a mountain of fallen bodies, Jedi and civilians alike. What could it mean? Qui-Gon thought about Dooku, about his deepest ambitions. He's always seen the Republic as a broken system, and the Jedi Order as a corrupt group that blindly serves this broken system. Could there come a breaking point in Dooku's mind where he sacrifices countless lives to finally fix what he deems to be broken? Could Dooku know about the Sith already? Or worse, could he be aiding in the return of the Sith? And now, out on a Jedi Temple balcony, Dooku was standing alone, looking into the traffic of Coruscant. He was trying to keep his mind calm, despite knowing he was on a path of darkness. He knew that the Sith were controlling galactic events. He knew that Qui-Gon just fought Darth Maul on Tatooine. He was here to delete Kamino from the archives, and that was now complete, and he knew Palpatine was going to become Chancellor tomorrow. Long ago, he left the Jedi Order, thinking it to be corrupt and broken. He went back to Sereno, hoping to rebuild his homeworld in peace, but his ambition was too strong. Sidious knew this, and he came to Dooku with an offer that he had trouble refusing, and now His path was truly beginning. Dooku was prepared to do whatever it takes. But then, he turned back to the temple doorway, finding Qui-Gon Jinn staring at him as if he were a stranger. Dooku beckoned for him to come outside, shutting the door behind them. Qui-Gon didn't waste time. He asked Dooku if he was aware of the return of the Sith. Their conversation would be tense, but Dooku could quickly tell that Qui-Gon knew something. Lying would be no use. He told Qui-Gon that he does know about the Sith. He has been working with them, and he's prepared to do anything in order to keep this a secret. But he's also willing to bring another ally into their cause. A threat and an invitation to Qui-Gon. The message was clear. Join him, or he will suffer a fate much like Sifo Dyas. But Qui-Gon said it is not too late. The Force is already responding, trying to push this darkness away, and that is why the Chosen One has been born. That is why he was guided to the Chosen One on Tatooine. And now Dooku was intrigued. He didn't know about Anakin, and Qui-Gon would tell him all about the boy. It was a miracle that he found Anakin. It shouldn't have happened. The chances are 1 in a trillion. But it was the will of the Force that he ended up on Tatooine. He told Dooku that the boy has a midichlorian count higher than even Master Yoda. He's the first human to ever complete a pod race, much less win a pod race. The Force is strong in him. He doesn't even know how to touch it yet, and it guides him. He is sure that he is the Chosen One. Qui-Gon told Dooku he can still make a different choice. Together, they can defeat the Sith Lord. They can change the Jedi Order for the better. The two of them can show the Council that they were wrong about everything. Anakin Skywalker can be a new beginning for the Jedi, and for them. Qui-Gon begged Dooku, come back. The Force has guided him to Dooku for a reason. Dooku would turn away, once more staring deep into Coruscant, into the direction of the industrial area, an area where he's met many times with Lord Sidious, planning out the future of the galaxy with war. But as Qui-Gon unraveled everything, Dooku did begin to see a new path forming. Darth Sidious often warned Dooku that the dark side offers power and ambition that can exceed one's abilities. One must be careful to see their arrogance. But Dooku began to wonder if perhaps Sidious was holding him back on purpose. Dooku was older than Sidious. He had similar experience in Coruscant politics, and perhaps more experience with the blade. Perhaps Sidious is afraid of him. So, Dooku closed his eyes, and he pushed the darkness away, for now. And he turned to Qui-Gon, telling his old friend that he is right. The dark side has taken him. He's been blinded to the truth. The light is always the way, and together, they can defeat Sidious. He has lost his way, and now he will find it. Qui-Gon grabbed Dooku by the shoulders, telling him that he was an excellent Jedi Master to him long ago. He trained him for this moment, to be able to help in times of need, and he will be here for him. Out in the galaxy now, a few hours later, Darth Sidious would be traveling through hyperspace all alone. In around 12 hours, he will be voted in as Chancellor of the Republic. But recently, he's finally gone against his master. He's killed Darth Plagueis in his drunken sleep, and now he's going to ensure that Plagueis stays dead. The Sith Master spent many years practicing ways to live after death. He tried controlling midichlorians with the Force, but he also considered essence transfer. This was a method that could not exactly be practiced until death, but Plagueis was sure that he's gotten the method down. In his years of obsession with death, Plagueis had built a cloned body of himself that he planned to transfer into, and for many years, this body has been kept on Mustafar, inside of a dark side portal where only spirits could survive. Plagueis knew he may someday die, and if he did die, unable to control his midichlorians, he hoped to transfer his spirit into this dormant body, and the body would be ejected from the spirit realm. It was all quite convoluted, but above everything else, he didn't think that Darth Sidious knew about it. But of course he did. Sidious knew of everything, and now he was traveling to Mustafar to destroy this portal and get back to Coruscant. It should only be a 3-hour trip at most. The occupation of Naboo is holding strong, and he just needed it to continue until he becomes Chancellor. And before long, he would emerge on Mustafar, ready to destroy the portal and ensure that Plagueis stays dead forever. And on Coruscant, Qui-Gon Jinn had informed the Council that he needed to be taken off of the Naboo mission. He didn't specify why exactly, but he stood firm and telling him that the Force has called him elsewhere. The only person who had any suspicion of this was Yaddle. She was the one who told Qui-Gon about Dooku, and now Qui-Gon was acting strange. She hoped everything was alright, but the Council would soon choose her and Obi-Wan to finish this mission, until Qui-Gon had found Dooku as they boarded his Sereno transport shuttle. Qui-Gon asked where they were going, and Dooku said that he hoped they would just be going to fight Sidious here on Coruscant, but he seems to have gone elsewhere. Dooku had put a tracker on Sidious's ship a while back. He didn't trust Sidious, and Sidious didn't trust him. It was the way of the Sith. This tracker was discreet enough for Sidious to never find it, but Dooku had seen that his master has taken off to Mustafar, a world of lava and fire. Dooku knew that Sidious used to train Maul here, but he's never gone there himself. Until now. And on Mustafar, Sidious would soon find the dark side portal. He could feel an energy emitting from it that was different from the first time he secretly found this portal. There was something occurring here. Sidious decided he didn't care to see what happens if he lets it continue. And so, Sidious began his dark ritual, calling upon the dark side of the Force as he began to tear apart the portal. But during his ritual, he would soon be interrupted as a ship landed outside of the cave next to his own. Sidious would turn to the doorway, finding Dooku and Qui-Gon Jinn entering together, green and blue lightsabers already drawn. Neither Dooku nor Qui-Gon knew of what Sidious was doing here, but they were able to understand one thing. This portal or gateway, whatever it was, it must be destroyed. But first, they must destroy Sidious. Sidious would tell Dooku he's making a grave mistake. Everything he's ever wanted is in the palm of his hands. All he has to do is embrace the dark side, forget the light. It is weak. Do not let old attachments like Qui-Gon draw him away from the truth. But as Sidious looked into Dooku's eyes, he saw the real truth of the matter, and he couldn't hold in his laughter. He asked Qui-Gon if he already knows. Dooku told Qui-Gon not to listen, and he ran forward. Sidious ignited his blade, blocked the first strike from Dooku, launching a blast of lightning that threw Qui-Gon backwards, and forced Dooku to dig in, holding his ground with both hands on his blade. Dooku cut in an opening, but Sidious moved fast, switching between rapid strikes, sudden leaps off of the wall, spinning at the duo in front of him. Qui-Gon moved in, striking with extreme focus, keeping Sidious from overwhelming him. Dooku stayed close, using elegant thrusts to try and pressure Sidious from the side. Sidious tried to grab Qui-Gon's arm and drag him into a close-range attack, but Dooku stepped in, cutting down at Sidious's arm, burning off a part of his sleeve, forcing him to now back off. Sidious flipped over them, attacking Dooku from behind, aiming straight for his spine, but Qui-Gon used the Force, redirecting his blade at the final moment. Sidious then slammed lightning into the rocky floor with a heavy Force blast. Both Jedi were distracted, forced to leap into the air, and Sidious ran in, hitting Qui-Gon with 3 fast overhead strikes. Qui-Gon blocked the first 2, but the third one knocked him onto his back. Sidious would then blast Qui-Gon with lightning, pinning him to the ground. Dooku moved back in, slashing at Sidious from behind, forcing him to block with his saber, while blasting Qui-Gon with lightning. Dooku managed to get dangerously close, forcing Sidious to end this lightning attack, and he lunged at Dooku with a much higher stab. Dooku parried, letting Sidious overextend, and Qui-Gon would step in, kicking Sidious hard in the back of his knee, dropping him down. Dooku followed with a backhand strike, slicing Sidious's wrist clean off, as his lightsaber would clatter away. Sidious used all of his anger, pouring even more lightning from his one free hand, pushing the Jedi backwards on their feet. Lightning was sprayed off of their blades and into the rock ceiling above them. Chunks of rock were beginning to rain down, and above the cave, there was a lava river. Lava was beginning to pour down through the cracks in the ceiling. Dooku would make a move, dropping his saber, catching the lightning with both hands, redirecting it back towards Sidious. Qui-Gon would do the same. Sidious tried to pull back, but the combined energy was too strong. Together, the two of them gathered their power, and they released it in a massive Force push. Sidious was lifted off the ground, thrown backwards towards the portal. He was flailing through the air, screaming out in agony and fear, until his body hit the black, swirling portal. Tendrils of darkness reached out, grabbing him, and Sidious was pulled into the spirit realm. His body would disintegrate instantly, but his spirit did not pass on. Instead, it was locked into a sealed void with no time, no space, the portal crushing his presence into a single point, trapping it there. Unable to move, speak, or reach out through the Force. Every attempt he makes to resist breaks apart before it can form, leaving him aware but completely unable to act. His consciousness would stay frozen in that isolated portal forever, unable to escape or return, unless he steals the lifeless dormant body that Plagueis put in here. If he could put his spirit into it, then he would be ejected from the portal. But back in the cave, Dooku and Qui-Gon were breathing heavily, as Dooku said they must get out of here. But Qui-Gon wasn't done. He asked Dooku what Sidious meant before the fight. Why did he laugh? Why did he ask Qui-Gon if he knew the truth? And Dooku sighed, telling Qui-Gon he must see this as an opportunity. These Sith were not the true way to reform the Republic. They wanted power only for themselves. But Dooku said that together, the two of them can form something new. Not Sith, but also not Jedi. Something in between the light and the dark. They can train young Skywalker to be the first Jedi in this path with them. They can restore the Republic to what it is meant to be. Qui-Gon didn't know what to say. He told Dooku this will never work. They both know this path inevitably leads to the dark side. Balancing the light and the dark, it's not possible, especially with how much Dooku has embraced the dark already. And all around them, the rocks were continuing to crack and fall to the floor. The ceiling was breaking apart in this cave. Heavy lava flows were filling the room around them, trying to close in around them. And Dooku looked past Qui-Gon towards the portal. He told his old friend that he is sorry, and he blasted Qui-Gon with the Force, pushing him towards the portal now. Qui-Gon flew through the air, reaching out for anything, knowing this was certain death. He saw a large rock fall from the ceiling, so Qui-Gon pulled it in between him and the portal, slamming into the rock and safely falling to the ground. He glanced at Dooku as if he were looking at a dead body. His master was truly gone. And Dooku reached out, pulling Sidious's blade into his hands. Dooku ran towards him, and Qui-Gon barely blocked the first strike, as the betrayal would fully register. Dooku pressed forward, tight attacks, trying to overwhelm Qui-Gon as quickly as he could, while the stones above them cracked open. Large chunks of the ceiling crashed around them. Streams of lava were dripping down from the river overhead, landing on the ground. Both men stepped around falling rock, jumping over former pools of lava, while their blades crashed again in this unstable cave. The ground was trembling harder, but this time it wasn't coming from the collapsing ceiling. Something new was happening, and from the corner of his eye, Qui-Gon saw motion at the portal. It began to twist open, and a burnt, mangled hand was pushing out from inside, gripping at the stone edge. Another arm followed. Someone, or something, had survived, transferring their essence into the dormant cloned body within the portal. They were pulling themselves out of it. Dooku also glanced at the figure, and in the Force, he felt an unrecognizable presence. Plagueis? But Dooku let it go, and in that split-second distraction, he drove his blade straight into Qui-Gon's torso, as they were both staring at the portal. Qui-Gon gasped, looked to the blade in his stomach, and he dropped to his knees. But he didn't die. He would grab Dooku's forearm, holding him in place, looking past him, as the creature was crawling free. The head of a Mune began to break free, and realizing what was happening, Qui-Gon made his choice. He released Dooku's arm, raising both hands. Using the last of his strength, he reached into the unstable ceiling with the Force, and he pulled it down. The entire top of the cave gave way. Countless tons of rock collapsed. Lava poured through the river and the lake above. The chamber was quickly swallowed by fire and stone. Qui-Gon watched it happen, and the last thing he saw was the portal shattering under the impact, and the creature was crushed before it could truly escape. Dooku tried to run, but it was no use. Both him and Qui-Gon were buried beneath the destroyed cavern. In one final act, Qui-Gon destroyed the Sith, the portal, and himself in the same decisive moment, and immediately after death, his blue form looked on at the destruction. This destruction would eventually be discovered by the Jedi, shortly after the death of Maul on Naboo from Obi-Wan and the freeing of Naboo. It was found that Dooku, Qui-Gon, and Palpatine all came here, and they all died, but investigations into their deaths would lead to the truth about Palpatine, Dooku, and the Sith. The Jedi would see that Qui-Gon was a hero. Anakin and Obi-Wan were deeply saddened by this, but in the days after his death, Qui-Gon would appear to the two of them in a shared dream, and he would tell both of them that Obi-Wan must train Anakin, and he will always be there to help. With the Sith dead, the light would return to the Force, allowing Qui-Gon to project himself much more easily. The Republic Senate would see just how corrupt they've become, nearly allowing this Dark Lord to rise to power. Bail Antilles of Alderaan would be a hopeful new Chancellor, with the Council helping him transition into this role before the Jedi would decide to move away from Coruscant altogether. And as years went by, Anakin and Obi-Wan would train together, with Qui-Gon helping from the Netherworld, watching on as Anakin and Obi-Wan practiced in the trees in the forests of Tython. No one knew just how close the Sith had come to achieving immortality in that cave on Mustafar. No one knew the sacrifice Qui-Gon truly made, but Qui-Gon would live on in the Force, dedicating himself to ensuring that Anakin Skywalker became the Jedi he always knew he could be. And folks, that is our story for today. The whole Plagueis Mustafar portal thing, made that up. I thought that'd be fun to add. I thought it was a fun addition, and I got the idea, sort of, because I'm reading the Darth Bane trilogy, just finished book 1, and spoilers in 5 seconds. If you don't want to hear it, close your ears. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I got the idea from the thought bomb in the first book. Just thought it'd be kind of fun to explore some sort of portal like that. Didn't want to include a thought bomb in it. That's for another day, perhaps. But yeah, wanted to do something with a portal that's like a spirit portal, and I don't know, introduce a new way for Palpatine to die. So I thought that was fun. There was, the Dooku betrayal. After, I've done a lot of stories where Dooku does turn back to the light, so I thought, hey, what if Dooku stays dark and just sees an opportunity to kind of take over for himself? So that's what I explored in this one. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you want to see next. And as always, I will see you in the next video.